Secretary Gilberto Teodoro, welcome to the Manila Times, sir.
Thank you very much, Clint.
So I really appreciate your time because we can only imagine how full your schedule is, not only normally, but given the situation in the region. Maybe we can start off with that. Parang what is your reading of our security landscape? What are the challenges that you're keeping an eye on? And maybe what's the directive from the president?
Well, the directive of the president is to secure our territory,
Right.
to secure our sovereign rights, and to make sure that not 1 inch is taken. In that spirit, in the region, we see, of course, a lot of I wouldn't say volatility,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of dynamism in alliance building, in changes between and among countries. Some even extra regionally are our allies, like
Mm-hmm.
India and Canada right now are in
Are
a
interested?
dispute.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Oh
they
yeah,
are,
I what I mean.
right,
The
right,
assassination of the
right. But they
yeah
are both
our allies. Yeah,
our partners
I see.
in rules in upholding the rules-based international order. Of course, there is no denying that the Chinese incursions into the West Philippine Sea are the most critical
Mm-hmm.
territorial defense threat for us. Not only politically, but
Mm-hmm.
of course economically and geopolitically.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, our approach there is, of course, to make sure that these incursions are stopped,
Mm-hmm.
to put it frankly. And the world's interest there, because China claims the whole of the South China Sea,
Mm-hmm.
and more extensively now with the 10-dash line,
Mm-hmm.
is that sea lanes of communication and international overflight is preserved. Uh, and I'm very, very happy that the world sees the plight of the Philippines in terms of converged interests.
Mm-hmm.
Because the China Sea, South China Sea is squeezed, then a vital supply chain link
Sure,
is closed.
sure.
Uh, we feel that every day too with the Russia-Ukraine war in
Mm-hmm.
terms of energy costs
Mm-hmm.
and other supply chain issues.
Mm-hmm.
China too is uh, important to us in the sense that Taiwan and China, they produce a lot of electronics that we need, like
Sure.
chips
Yeah.
and other things that we need for everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, it's a calculus between the economic benefits, and the creeping expansionism of China.
Sure.
Where I sit, my job is
Yeah.
solely to stop it,
Sure.
not only for us, but for the future generations. Uh, in that respect, we have rethought our strategies in the Defense Department. We are coming out with a national defense strategy and a new horizon for our modernization, because the assumptions that we made before in creating our horizons was uh, the main bulk of our operations would be internal, and then gradually tran- transform to external when these horizon
Mm-hmm.
when the modernization law
Mm-hmm.
was started.
Mm-hmm.
Now this have changed. We need to up our game in
Mm-hmm.
terms of capabilities,
Mm-hmm.
skills, and processes,
Mm-hmm.
particularly in information technology, digitization,
Sure. Yeah.
and
Cybersecurity. Yeah.
not only cybersecurity in that sense, but cyber cybersphere as a tool for
Mm-hmm.
management, as a tool for connectivity,
I
which we
see.
call C4I Star,
Okay.
uh, and as a tool for efficiency.
But sometimes, the media is criticized for maybe hyping up the negative, and so when people look at, say, the issue you mentioned, the West Philippine Sea, the continuous confrontation, sometimes you get a sense that things that are a very tense situation, but you're at the forefront. I mean, from where you stand, parang what is the level of threat? is it more subdued than what maybe the general media reports it, or is it about right, or what is your sense of, I suppose that the threat of conflict now?
I think the threat of confrontation
Yeah.
is there, but the threat
Okay.
of conflict to me
Okay.
is it's not it's not really in the
It's not
horizon.
imminent. No, no,
It's
it's
not
not.
imminent. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, right.
Okay.
However, that being said, we all should be concerned
Sure.
because on our side, everybody knows where the government's coming from
Right.
because we have transparency, we have freedom of the press, of the
Right.
speech, and almost everything is disclosed.
Right.
And now
Right.
even Congress wants to cut, some people want to cut confidential and intelligence funds.
Right.
So what would that mean? Everything that we do,
Yeah.
where we need to harden for national security purposes,
Yeah.
our processes may be
Telegraphed.
telegraphed.
Yeah.
Right? No, it's in fairness, not Congress, but
Sure.
other sectors,
Sure.
particularly civil society.
Okay.
Uh, there's a saying that don't pray too much for what you want because you may just get it. and then
And it
and
may not be
then
what we want. Yeah.
yeah, nasa huli yung pagsisisi, no?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, on the other hand, China is not transparent.
Sure.
We do not know
Sure.
how their political processes
Sure.
work.
Sure.
Right now, their defense minister has gone on an extended vacation.
Yeah.
Their foreign minister has gone on an
Yeah.
extended vacation. What does this mean?
Yeah.
And China's strategy basically is laid down on paper.
Okay.
Fine.
Okay.
And they're broad strokes. They want
Right.
to be the strongest armed force by the year 2040.
Right.
They want to have global reach.
Sure.
They want to have full control
Okay.
over their territories. And the strongest armed force, they are designed, as President Xi said, to win conflicts.
Okay.
Because what's the use of an armed force if they don't win?
Sure.
So this means force projection, capability for aggression, and other things. However, that strategy, we don't know how much that is translated into actual operations.
Sure.
Because the fundamental rule really that
Yeah.
anybody should follow is deception is the name of the game,
Sure.
right?
Oh,
So
right.
so if we think anybody in this country, even the scholars, even those who are advocating that China has peaceful
Oh.
intentions, we really do not
We
know the
don't know. Yeah.
basis. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to ask about that because I remember watching just the news in the States how there is like a back. I'm not sure if it's called a back channel, but an official channel
Yeah.
between the defense establishment and the Chinese establishment, just to I suppose avert a mistake. Is you mentioned that the defense minister is not there, but is there any communication between you and
No, that's the Foreign Affairs Department. We really pass through the Foreign Affairs
so
Department
not
as
like
well.
in other countries, but you talk to your counterparts just to maybe avoid any kind of
No,
miscalculation or
because
something?
with our armed force and with
Yeah.
our defense establishment,
Yeah.
we do not need ambassadors attached to us. Unlike US Indo-PACOM, where there
Yes.
is
Yes.
a State Department ambassador
Right.
attached,
Right.
and their processes
I
are
different.
more mature,
Right.
and in a sense of size, no,
Yeah.
in the sense
Right.
of size
Yeah.
than us. So for us, we pass through the Department of Foreign Affairs, and
Yeah.
coordination between us is good.
And at what point do you think it becomes a military first approach? Because right now it's
Mm.
a diplomatic approach, which is I think reassuring to a point. But as you said, there are developments happening that may suggest that parang it's not getting any better. There's confrontation going on. But at what point do you think would it become now a military rather than a diplomatic problem?
I'll frame it this way: the diplomatic, if not backed up by military capabilities,
Okay,
your bargaining leverage is less.
sure,
So the military and the diplomatic go hand in hand
right, right, okay,
in that sense.
okay,
So it should always as much as possible, be diplomatic, but backed up by the ability to say no.
Well, the resupply of our people in Scarborough. I mean that's again in the news. Um, at what point do you think the Defense Department or our military would step in and maybe protect or maybe put some more I suppose escorts or have more military presence in that resupply mission?
It's hard to say
Okay.
right now
Okay.
because we have been successful in our resupplies.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to tell. And given the unpredictability of the behavior
Yeah.
of China
Yeah.
and their use of pseudo Coast Guard vessels, which are actually military vessels
Yeah, I
in
was gonna.
my
Is it
mind.
true that they put their Coast Guard under their navy now or something? Is that
No,
no?
no.
That's not.
Technically, it's not. But
Okay,
in function, they're under the Central Military Commission anyway.
I see.
Unlike us, our
So
Coast
purely
Guard
civilian.
is purely civilian because
Yeah.
the primary mandate of Coast Guard is really for maritime safety and
Okay.
security.
Okay. So it's not gray on gray masquerading as a gray on white situation on their part. Na parang
Well, for us, because our engagements with the international community is on the basis of following international law. We comply with that because
yeah.
we can't go to court with dirty hands.
Yeah. You mentioned a 10 dash line earlier. What are the security implications
For me,
on us?
it is really an assertion of China of its intent to secure control over these areas.
Okay.
They claim that the nine dash line is a basis for discussion and
Right.
negotiation.
Right.
Good if there was an accepted, open, and transparent way of negotiating.
Mm-hmm.
But they do not want multilateralism, which is the best way of settling disputes because
Yeah.
it's fair and impartial and at arm's length.
Right.
Secondly, there's no framework for talks because everything is whispered.
I see.
How will our people accept that?
Right.
You know, in their society, probably it's okay because
Right.
they have an autocratic society.
Yeah. Yeah.
So here we can't. Although they call themselves a democracy, I mean,
Yeah.
can I can I advocate
Yeah.
anti-Chinese propaganda in their
Yeah.
country? No way.
I don't think I can do what I do here over
Yes,
there. Yeah. Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
It
So
now, I just want to underscore this.
yeah.
We may agree or disagree on the arbitral award,
Sure.
but I wrote before in a publication that it was a chance for China to prove its claims to the world,
Mm-hmm.
but
They decided not to
yeah,
participate.
they
Yeah.
decided not to. So
Yeah.
it adds to the mistrust
Okay.
by the world and by a majority, 90% of the Filipinos or more
Right.
of their intentions.
Right.
And the more they propagandize, and their propaganda is, uh, it just distances the Filipino because it's patronizing.
Sure. Sure.
They,
Sure.
they patronize people,
Yeah.
but at the same time, by claiming that they're peaceful, I heard some talk the other day that let's forget the politics and just do this. We're government officials sworn to uphold the Constitution
Sure.
and the sovereign rights within the 360-degree exclusive
Yeah.
economic zone
Yeah.
are for our posterity.
Yeah.
So how can we do that?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I want to ask how you think we should move forward. I realize that officially you're Secretary of Defense and you're limited to your portfolio's responsibilities, but you've also been a lawmaker. Your extensive your experience in government has been extensive. I mean, so I'm drawing on that parang experience and asking your opinion. How do we move forward? Given all of these
Okay.
dynamics.
Now, for me, right now, the Philippines has a lot of goodwill in the
Okay.
international community,
Okay.
despite China's attempts to
Okay.
economically weaponize its economic diplomacy
Sure.
weaponization. So let us engage more with like-minded countries.
Okay.
However, it's a two-way street. These Philippine interests here,
Okay.
and they must see the need to invest
Okay.
in the Philippines, make
Okay.
our economy more robust, make our defense capabilities more
Okay.
robust, so that there is a bastion of enforcement of international law in this
Okay.
place. The president is also working very hard on getting
Okay.
ASEAN consensus
Okay.
on this, no? If not in whole, in part,
Yeah.
with like-minded countries. No?
Sure.
And a lot of the diplomatic exchanges led by the president are ongoing on
Yeah.
this, so that we also get a consensus in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
But right now, the UK, Australia, Canada, even Norway,
Mm-hmm.
the EU,
Mm-hmm.
France, Spain, South Korea, naturally,
Mm-hmm.
Japan,
Mm-hmm.
have spoken out
Right.
in favor of the Philippines and
Yeah.
in favor of enforcing the arbitral award.
Mm-hmm.
So, given that, the arbitral award already has value as something that powerful countries
Mm-hmm.
are willing to go at least to the public domain with.
Mm-hmm.
No?
Mm-hmm.
And it is also up to us, really, to show that we can uh, build up our strength to stand up to these threats, because
Mm-hmm.
our capability should not be limited to China.
Okay.
I mean, it should be threat agnostic,
Oh, wow.
right?
Okay. Okay.
Because any country in the, I mean, China also has in that document that
Yeah.
the report of President Xi to the 20th Congress.
Mm.
It plainly states there that if you do not have a strong armed force, you're
Mm.
not a strong country.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
Sorry to the peaceniks, but I mean
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the
I get
reality.
you. Yeah.
Even New Zealand
Yeah.
now is recalibrating.
Yeah. Now,
If
even Japan, I think is I
Yeah,
think quite interesting.
Japan, yes,
Yeah.
because they have
Yeah.
territorial disputes
Yeah.
with China, but
Yeah.
New Zealand itself, without any
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 um,
threat
yeah.
within its area, feels the
Yeah.
need
Yeah.
to enforce international law because its supply chains are going to be affected.
Yeah. A few weeks ago there were some joint patrols.
Joint
Uh,
sales, we call them.
oh, well, yeah, among ASEAN members na no. Is that something that the Philippines? I'm not sure. I seem to remember that the Philippines was not part of that joint patrol, but it wasn't in the
It wasn't
content.
in
The contents issue
right.
was
It was more in the Straits of
more in the
Malacca.
side. Is that something that the Philippines is looking at?
Yes, yes.
Maybe and then maybe do that in the more contentious parts of the West Philippine Sea. No?
Well, we do that. To us, there's no contentious part. Eh. It's
Okay.
only China contending. Eh.
So your position is, as President Marcos said, you have no dispute except that China is claiming Philippine territory, or something to that effect.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because our claims are not Philippine law. These are based on the
yeah,
1982 UN
yeah,
Convention on the Law of the Sea
yeah,
in Maine. No?
yeah,
And actually, our integrity as a country
yeah,
was fought for by
yeah,
Arturo Tolentino, Estelito Mendoza, and others to get the archipelagic doctrine. If not, every waters in between islands will
yeah.
be
International water. Yeah,
international waters. So
yeah.
what kind of integrity will you have?
Sure, sure.
So if we bargain away
Yeah,
by forgetting, kalimutan muna daw ang
yeah,
politika,
yeah.
by bargaining away that,
You
we lose
forgo
our
your yeah,
integrity as a
yeah.
country.
But what's the sense of your counterparts in ASEAN? Is that something that they're equally interested in doing with the Philippines, or
There have been expressions
okay,
of interest, and I will know more after the ASEAN Defense Ministers Meet Plus
okay,
in November.
okay? But for now, there is no scheduled, what do you call it, joint sales.
Right now, there are no scheduled
Okay,
joint sales,
okay,
except, of course, with when the time is right, and there are patrols, of
yeah,
course, with the United States,
yeah,
Australia,
yeah,
Japan, South
Yeah.
Korea.
And what is the Philippine position? How far would the Philippines would like for this joint patrolling to where could it go? How far can it
These are
yeah,
just enforcement demonstrations of
I see.
international law.
I see.
And this is not a main effort. It
This is
is
not a direct reaction to what's going on with China, as you say, or
no, it's not a direct reaction
yeah,
to what China is doing,
yeah,
but in fine in a sense it is
yeah,
because we're not provoking China.
yeah,
To me, a provocation of China is when
yeah,
we go and fish within their 200 nautical mile exclusive economic zone.
okay,
When we encroach on their territory, that is a provocation. But when we sail anywhere within our 200 nautical mile exclusive economic zone
mm,
and our other territorial claims, no one can say it is a provocation.
yeah,
And it is a falsity. And to me, it goes against our national interest to say that it is a provocation. The only time we provoke China theoretically is if we go off Hainan Island or Hong Kong and try to fish there.
fish there, yeah,
Then let's see what will happen
yeah.
to anybody who does that.
Do you see any other, I don't know, legal remedy? I mean, you're a lawyer. I mean, a top notcher at that. No, no, but do you see any other possible legal avenue that we can take?
No, the legal must be always in tandem with
with the ability to enforce it?
not only that,
Okay,
with diplomacy. So
okay,
to get a chorus
I see.
of like-minded,
Okay,
and an international voice
yeah,
for it that resonates
okay,
really, really strongly. And then we can find a diplomatic solution that will protect our interests. Right now, a diplomatic solution will probably be one sided.
yeah. Yeah, I can imagine. You mentioned that you're currently drafting a new, you say a roadmap or a
National
strategic
defense
national
strategy.
defense strategy. How much did the China situation influence that? Because I know even decades before, the Philippines has been talking about building up a credible minimum defense, right? And that's been, AFP modernization has always been there, even before these flashpoints became
Oh,
main news.
the China situation has influenced it
Okay,
greatly in terms of the urgency
I see.
of the need to, as much as possible, without sacrificing interoperability,
Sure,
sustainability, and quality, fast
sure.
track the process.
Okay. Does that mean favoring maybe more naval assets over land-based assets? Or?
Definitely more assets in the maritime and the aerial domain,
I see.
without forgetting our terrestrial
Sure,
capabilities. No,
sure.
this goes hand in hand too, but more also on sustainability, like having more strategic bases, more facilities to upgrade to support our growing fleet of ships,
Mm-hmm.
uh, vehicles.
Sure,
Maintenance has always been a
sure,
problem. Operating expenses have always
sure.
been a problem. So we have to plan financially for the life cycle costs of each and every item of equipment we get.
Mm-hmm.
The same time, we have to upgrade our skills and not our defense paradigms and our schooling for our officers, to me, is not in a direction which I feel comfortable with
Okay,
because their doctrine, it's doctrinaire.
okay.
And right now you're fighting asymmetrically. You
Right.
can't be doctrinaire, so we
Yeah.
have to send our people to multidisciplinary educational institutions all over the world to build up their skills and networking.
Do you think there's a need to maybe establish maybe I think it was Senate President Zubiri was at one time suggesting maybe a naval academy or something like that to maybe reinforce that new I suppose appreciation for maritime concerns. Is that
I
something that
think it
can?
will come maybe sooner.
It's
It's
not
really not
immediate,
in the
ano?
horizon right now
Yeah,
because even as you know, even our local institutions of higher learning have problems
yeah,
with their ratings
yeah.
and rankings.
Yeah.
So I'd rather send people to established
Right.
educational institutions
Right.
where they can get trained.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, there were some um, reactions, at least from some lawmakers, about doing those exchanges, particularly with China.
Yes.
Is that a concern? Because I thought it was kind of an unfair um, conclusion to make that just because someone went to China, then they become all of a sudden pro China. But I can see some merit also
No, I
of
see.
our
Yeah.
officers going there and maybe understanding them and maybe establishing relationships that may prove useful in the
No,
future.
I'm open to the idea, but not
Yeah.
really right now.
Okay.
We have to properly vet and choose the officers that will go there.
Okay.
But for cadets in their formative stage, probably not right now.
Okay. So, are you ramping up? I know we have those relationships with West Point and the Naval Academy in the U.S. Is that something that's going to be ramped up? Are you going to have more countries do more of
No,
those
we do a
exchanges?
lot already.
Yes, that's
We
what
do
I
a,
mean.
we do a lot already, but for me, I think the focus right
Do
now
more.
would be higher learning and specialization.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. I see. And a few weeks ago, there was talk about the possibility of us getting some submarines from France. I know how much of that has progressed beyond just initial discussions.
Right
Or
now, the Navy is reviewing its needs based on my guidance,
okay,
and perhaps in the future that will be there, but not probably in this horizon,
not now.
not in
Okay,
this specific package
right,
that we seek to acquire.
right. What about other assets? What are you looking at? What's in in the near future?
Well, the
More
Navy,
jets?
yes, but not. Let's not buy just one 12 planes. It won't make a difference.
Okay,
So if we buy a set of capabilities, it must make a difference
right.
in terms of quantity.
Okay,
And because buying a subset of a set will
yeah.
ha- will,
Will
will
not move the needle there.
right.
So,
So as you were asking,
yeah,
more air air assets,
yeah.
more offshore patrol vessels,
Okay,
so that we can go further. Right now, I think that's why we have to also converge with the Philippine Coast Guard because they're supposed to guard the littoral side,
right, right,
and we're more offshore, no. But
right.
but of course, it's flexible because Philippines has islands and features,
Sure.
especially under the regime of islands theory, where the Coast Guard can operate.
Yeah.
And the Coast Guard is a recipient also of equipment from other governments. So we have to converge there. But of course, the Navy has to project
Yeah.
to in order to prevent uh, peaceful, in order to prevent anybody from disrupting peaceful exploitation of the 200 nautical mile exclusive economic zone by Filipinos and authorized partners of the Philippine government.
Yeah. So, is there going to be an announcement soon from your office about?
Once we draft it, then
Is
file.
there a budget already, or is that are you looking at 2024 to make an announcement, or are you
No, no,
looking
no, no,
to
no, no.
this year?
Yeah, yeah. It's for planning purposes because we are asking for a rehorizoning already.
Oh wow.
And then
Wow.
when we come out, the president will sign it and sign off on the
Yeah.
rehorizoning,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
that becomes our platform.
Those interests from the Western countries you mentioned.
Not only Western, not even Asian countries are
Okay.
interested, like Korea and Japan.
Have those translated into maybe a willingness to sell us more equipment,
Not only
transfer
sell,
more
but transfer
technology?
more technology and
Yeah.
capabilities. For example, in EDGA that you wanted to ask me earlier,
Yeah.
that's the trade-off. I'll
Yeah.
make sure the Philippine interests are protected
Yeah.
by getting capabilities
Yeah.
in exchange for the logistical capabilities that we allow
Yeah.
the United States to do.
Is there going to be a major announcement soon? Because a lot of the comments I've been hearing uh, is that maybe the Philippines is not getting what it deserves, given what it
Uh,
has offered.
the fact
Is that a fair? criticism, you think? Or?
Not really, not
Okay,
really, because it's also a question of supporting the assets that are transferred to us.
I see.
However, in terms of major announcements, one of the most important thing is operational security and secrecy.
Okay.
That is one
you,
of
you don't want it on the
no,
front
that
page.
is one of the issues
Yeah,
that we are addressing
yeah,
within the armed
yeah,
forces,
yeah,
particularly in this regime of fake news.
yeah, yeah,
So as a condition
yeah,
for increased capabilities, a lot of countries demand operational security and
yeah.
secrecy.
How do we balance, or I mean, the need to upgrade, modernize, and there are so many other national priorities. As you know, you worked on them as a lawmaker. There's education, there's public health, there's infrastructure. How do we balance that? We don't I guess fall short of the other expectations
Yeah,
that we need. I mean, we also need a strong economy. We need a
definitely.
well-educated people, but of course, there's no denying that we also need a strong military.
Right now, we're spending about estimates go from 0.98 to about 1.1% of GDP on defense.
Okay, so
Constitutionally, you're
manageable.
not allowed to overtake
Yeah,
education spending, right?
yeah.
So that's really not a lot. And there's synergy between defense spending and investor confidence.
Okay,
And there is a paper that I've seen. I don't recall right now, or maybe a new an opinion,
okay.
an op-ed, maybe in your publication, that defense spending translates to higher FDI inflows. No,
Well, I was thinking about that submarine. I know when India was looking at the French subs, there was a deal for the manufacturing of those submarines in
right.
India itself.
So a lot of
Yeah,
the horizon packages that we're
yeah.
looking for are have some
That economic component, no?
right, the business
Okay.
case,
Yeah.
where we can also export these technologies and platforms,
Oh, that's
hopefully,
interesting.
to other countries.
Yeah.
But the main bulk of the cost that we need to bear is that we need to realize, for example, there are 8 platforms that are coming next year
Okay.
from South Korea, naval platforms.
Okay.
We need funds to properly use these things.
Sure.
It's not just a question of buying, and some of them have a full tank capacity of 800,000 to 1 million liters
Wow.
of diesel.
Wow.
Uh,
So you need a lot of fuel.
right,
Yeah.
right. But this is a sunk cost, and
Yeah.
I view this as a capital investment.
Okay. What about the personnel? Do we have, you're mentioning new platforms coming in, new priority areas. Is the Defense Department looking at maybe expanding its personnel?
Oh, definitely.
How many more soldiers?
No,
I mean,
in terms of the armed forces, we're fine.
we're fine. Okay.
We're fine.
Okay.
That will not. We have 160,000 now. That will
Okay.
not grow significantly, unlike the
Okay.
police, where
Okay.
you need to maintain a
I
population to
see.
policeman ratio.
I see.
We're fine, and keep up, and technology can substitute for a lot of the personnel requirements,
I
right?
see. I see.
So we're fine. But the Department of Defense proper
You're talking
needs.
about the one managing the
Yes, we
the
need a
the,
big
the
overhaul.
administration. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. A
Yeah.
big overhaul on the structure and the organization.
I heard you say that. How many more people do we need? Do you think?
I think we need at least about 600 to 1,000,
Wow.
because we're managing a stakeholder base of about a million,
Right.
and assets under management probably of 250 to 300 billion.
Wow. So, how long will it take for you to
By the end of the year, I'll file a bill already.
really? Okay.
Yeah.
So the bill will be filed, and how long would you think it will take
They
to?
promised, the Congress promised that they would act on it quickly.
Yeah.
And it's also a staffing and resource management problem. But
Sure.
I feel if it's not done now,
Right.
then we will continue to have uh, overworked
Yeah.
employees and servants,
Yeah.
rather,
Yeah.
fellow workers, government workers, public servants.
Yeah.
And I think the skills that we need may not fall under the conventional civil service
Yeah. Talaga
paradigms.
it has to be a new. No.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
and if the government cannot create such a system, then we're way, way, way behind.
Um, Let me just go quickly to the uniform personnel. I mean, how's morale now? I know there's been
Very high.
a lot of talk about the pension issue. Has that been resolved?
Insofar as I'm concerned, it has been
Okay.
resolved
So it
in the
hasn't
lower
affected
house. No, no,
no early retirements because of, I
no,
suppose, bad feelings or anything like that.
no.
I see.
And I think that issue has already been resolved.
Okay.
However, in the long run, as with any organization, when passions perhaps have
Sure.
subsided, we really have to take a good look. But that being said,
Yeah.
there is a provision there where we have to create a retirement trust fund.
Right.
And right now, we are very busy, and we thank the Office of the Solicitor General for augmenting us with
Yeah.
lawyers. We are very busy in cleaning up land titles, real
Wow.
estate assets of the armed
Wow.
forces,
Okay.
where we can put in this trust fund as a
I see.
seed capital to be managed by the GSIS,
I
perhaps,
see.
no? In order, because the new entrants are going to have to contribute.
Right. Right.
So it will add up,
Right.
and hopefully, when it matures, it reduces the government pension burden.
And with regard to capabilities, I know you mentioned this that in your administration staff you need, out of the box kind of thinking there. But
On the
cybersecurity,
one
cyber
hand, though, yeah,
defense.
yeah.
What's our state of preparedness on that front?
Well, frankly, we're quite resilient.
Okay.
However, this resilience compromises our ability to go into the advanced stage, and this resilience sacrifices efficiency in the sense that we need a lot more paper and a lot more people. Uh, so the the capabilities that we need, particularly in the department proper, no, to manage a host of. Let's not forget that the department is not focused only on the armed forces, but we're running a hospital, we're
Sure.
running an
Yeah.
arsenal,
Yeah.
we're taking care of veterans
Sure.
and civil defense, which is a big headache is of any country, is
Sure.
under the department too. No? So you need uh, uh, people with the requisite skills, which we can grow, we can
Hmm.
develop in time if we start now,
Hmm.
in order to translate the needs of these agencies into bankable, let's say. I don't know how to use the government term for bankable
Yeah.
things and get the proper resources. On
Sure.
the other hand, we have to have the ability to negotiate high level contracts,
Yeah.
because normally contracts should not be, we really have to develop that skill.
Yeah.
Right now, I have really a feeling, because the OSG is overworked and other departments are overworked. We need to outsource really the negotiation in terms of lawyering of these contracts,
Wow.
because we
You lose
put
man hours.
no,
Just
we lose money if
money.
contracts are
Okay.
poorly drafted.
Yeah, I
No,
see. I
uh,
see.
uh,
Oh, I see. Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's the black and white.
Right.
And
Right.
as a contract lawyer, which I'm not, you have to foresee all the possible
Angles.
angles,
Yeah.
and even, let's say, fluctuations in foreign exchange,
Yeah.
possible sanctioning of
Yeah.
currencies,
Yeah.
uh, in order to ensure that we don't get the raw end of the bargain.
Sure. I'm getting a signal that I need to wrap up, but if I can circle back to the West Philippine Sea, if you don't mind. There have been some people who've been saying that maybe we should start invoking the Mutual Defense Treaty because of these skirmishes between our fishermen and the Chinese Coast Guard. Do you think that's alarmist or that's appropriate? What's
That's
your view?
inappropriate. I think it's not appropriate
Okay.
at all,
Okay.
because the MDT says, basically, the MDT is a wartime
Okay.
endeavor,
Okay.
or the imminence of war.
Okay.
I view the MDT because it says that an attack on any public vessel
Okay.
is an event which can be subject to the MDT, but the
Yeah.
MDT must be viewed in the greater context of entering into an armed conflict,
Okay.
which we do not want.
Right. Right. Do you think it will be ever be like what Vietnam did? And people say that we should do what Vietnam did, but I seem to remember that Vietnam soldiers died when they tried to
No,
do
and
that.
they have a more robust. They
Navy.
had a more robust armed
Yeah.
force,
Yeah.
and they really continue to spend on defense spending
Yeah.
galore.
Yeah.
And not only in Vietnam, but Malaysia and Indonesia continue to
Yeah.
spend.
And
You
last
know,
last question. Yeah.
when they order jets, it's 70, 80, 90,
Tayo anim na.
which I want to change.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, we can financially leverage that for long periods
Yeah,
of
there's
time.
a way. Yeah, if you want to. Last questions again. I know we've been focused on China, but as as I'm reminded that our problems are not only with China but also with Vietnam and other Southeast Asian countries. How are we on that front? And maybe,
Well,
uh,
at least there's a status quo,
okay,
which is a good beginning. But with China, there's no status quo.
that's the difference.
Yes, that's the big difference. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Secretary, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. We wish you good luck. I can't even imagine what your what your plate is like these days, but
No, but with the support of the president,
sure.
it makes the job easier.
Yeah.
And the clear direction of the president and his unyielding a position on a lot of issues makes the job very, very clear cut and easy.
There's no ambiguity.
No.
Okay. Thanks very much, sir.
Thanks.
Okay.